Welcome, my friends. I invite you to a quick review, maybe going over everything that we have learned thus far. And kind of big idea here is whenever you want to find the average rate of change, you know, for example, let me go ahead and write it up over here. We have this point there and this point there. If you want to find the average rate of change, you need 2 points and then do, you know, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is your change in y over your change in x, and it gets you this line that crosses through those 2 points. When I want to find instant slope, okay, when I want to find my instant slope that looks like this over here, you'll notice it touches the boundary of the curve and it's your slope at that instant location. It doesn't matter how it looks like right there, it's your instant slope at that location there. Same thing here, right? You'll notice right here, well, because this line, the way that it's drawn, it's positive slope, negative slope, positive slope. Well, whenever you are on a hill, the slope is 0 because you have no rate of change. It's just a horizontal line. All right, so essentially when I tell you that we want to determine the derivative is basically going to take your function, some function like you see over here to the left, and essentially when we take this derivative, when we plug in a number, it'll give us the slope at this exact location there. This exact spot will give me my slope, all right? And in the previous videos, we went over that, but I wanted to just at least get a chance to work with equations and then make sense of it. So let's say f of x is equal to this. I want to find f prime. Remember, f prime means find the derivative. Essentially, we want to find the function that gives us the instant speed for this equation. And so to do that, we use this little trick called the power rule. And basically, all it is you first multiply the 3 with whatever's here. Well, there's nothing there, so we assume it's like 1. So bring the 3 down and we get 3x. And then you just subtract 1. Well, 3x squared, okay? Minus, well, bring the 2 down, so we get minus 2x. And then minus 1, and we get raised to the 1, which is 1 right there, okay? Well, what's the invisible number in front of x? Well, it's a 1, okay? If you want to write it, you can. And what's the derivative of x to the 1? Well, you bring the 1 down. 1 times 1 is 1, so we get plus 1, and then you subtract 1, right? And we're going to get x to the 0, so 1x to the 0. Well, what's anything raised to 0? It's just 1, so we're just left with 1, okay? So pretty much we'll just get 1. So maybe if that, you need to see another, if you got, what's the derivative of 3x? Well, it's just 3, right? Because you're going to bring the 1 down, minus 1, well, x to the 0 is just 1, so you get 3 times 1, which is 3. Kind of went over that in the last video, and it's just something we'll get practice on. So if I got negative 6x and I tell you to take the derivative, you'll just get negative 6. You pretty much get the coefficient in front, okay? Well, what's the derivative of this negative 1 on the outside? Well, we talked about it. That would just be a horizontal line, and that is 0. There is no slope. So here it is. This is my function right there, okay? Let's take a look at maybe another one, and let's see if we can hopefully make sense of. So y equals x to the 5th plus x squared divided by 2 plus x minus 4. You know what? Let me just for poops and giggles, let me just put, you know, actually we're fine. We'll leave it how it is. All right. Determine dy dx. Well, we talked about this already. Dy dx is instant slope, and that's why it makes sense. Find the function that gives you the instant slope, and that's a derivative. When we do the same process, bring the 5 down, and we get 5x to the 4. Okay, now over here, you subtract 1, that's why we got the 4. Bring the 2 down, so we get plus 2x to the 1 divided by 2, because it's the division by 2 there. Plus, well, what's the derivative of x? We just get the coefficient, which is 1. Right? There's like an invisible 1 there. And then what's the derivative of negative 4? Well, negative 4 is just a constant. We showed this in the last video. That's just going to be 0. And so there it is. Here's my function. The 2's can cross out, and so I get dy dx is equal to 5x to the 4th plus x plus 1. And there it is. And if I plug in some number, I'll get my instant slope. All right, here we go. Let's give this one a try here, okay? There it is. Again, y prime. Again, when you're taking the derivative, you can either note it as f prime of x, dy dx, or y prime. They're just 3 different ways, and they all mean the exact same thing. So determine the derivative of this function. Well, we do this little power rule trick, which is just this little trick I'm showing you now. Bring the 5 down, so you'll get 5x to the 4th because I subtract by 1 on the exponent, and I get 5 underneath. Plus, well, if I bring the 2 down, I get 8x. and then subtract 1, which is just 1, so it's just 1 minus 1. I don't need to show it. And what's the derivative of 3x? Well, hopefully you're getting the hang of it. It's just 3. And then derivative of negative 12, it doesn't have a variable. There's no rate of change, 0. Boom. So there it is. The 5's cancel out, and we get y prime is equal to x to the 4th plus 8x plus 3. Okay. All right. So now it says, then determine the instant speed of the function at x equals negative 2. Well, I already have the function that will give me my instant speed. That's a derivative. To find the instant speed at negative 2, I just take it and plug it into here and solve for it. And I won't do that. I think that's, we're going to get a bunch of practice with that in the next video. But that's pretty much it. Just getting practice with the power rule and derivative. Hopefully that helps. Short video, but just helping you go through the motions of how it works. Thank you and have a wonderful day.